What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm using my computer mic rather than my Rode mic, so I'm sorry if the audio is a little off, but you guys know, who have been following me for a while, even before I became a Bible believer, that I was very interested in symbolism, and I have for every year for the past few years exposed the symbolism in the halftime show since 2020. These videos were very popular on my channel. The first one I did got almost 200,000 views, which was big for my channel, especially because it wasn't popular at that time. And I didn't make one this year, but I still want to talk about it, and I want to talk about why I didn't make one this year. And it's simply because it is going mainstream, and what the mainstream is talking about is people are feeling this like demonic vibe, right? Like clearly these pictures, even with the Grammys and Sam Smith, there's a lot of talk on social media about these demonic type feelings. Like, I'm not a Christian, but this feels satanic, or this feels weird, or why are these lyrics like this? People are waking up to it, and it makes me think of the word revelation in the Greek, which is apocalyptos, or apocalypto, and it means the removal of the cover, rather than the popular term meaning apocalypse, end of the world sort of thing. It is the removal of the cover, meaning people are actually starting to see what is going on. However, there's a lot of false narrative in this community now. Now that this is more popular than when I first started doing it, people are filtering in these things and thinking that Satan is something to worship, or that these are actual rituals happening which have some sort of power, when really that's simply not true. These are absolutely insane individuals who are not mentally grounded, they are not spiritually grounded, who think that these rituals that they are doing have some type of power and are a way to show worship to their God. And we know through my Demon, Devil, Satan series that there is only one God, which is the God we worship in the Bible, and there are no other gods, although people make many gods out of many things. But only one God has sovereignty, only one God has power, and that is Jesus Christ. With that being said, people don't seem to understand that concept. I'm still having trouble with people trying to understand the whole Demon, Devil, Satan series, because they give power to other entities or other gods or other idols, and they think that these rituals are doing something. The only thing that people should really be talking about is how disgusting and pointless this is, which is why I'm not really doing videos on it anymore. I'm not talking about the symbolism that these other people are doing. These people are insane. There's no reason to give them attention. There's no reason to think that there's power happening or rituals happening that will bring forth power of negative things. Everything is done by the hand of God. And these things are absolutely tedious. These are money-hungry people. These are wolves. These are just absolutely mentally unstable people that society idolizes. They sacrifice everything for the fame, for the money, for these worldly things. They fuel the flesh rather than the spirit. So they are not God's children. And I saw this video and I wanted to play it, and it was about some commercials that are sparking quite the controversy, and people are upset about Jesus. So I want to play this video about some of the Super Bowl commercials that were about Jesus and some of the response that it received. So take a listen to this.
With the Super Bowl this Sunday on Fox, it's a great day for us to have former NFL player Chris Valletta on the couch with us. He has played for the Tennessee Titans, New Orleans Saints, and Kaylee's Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, in addition to the big game that we will get to in just a moment, there's big news surrounding some of the commercials slated to air, including two that are about Jesus Christ. They're a part of the He Gets Us campaign. Now, it's backed by a nonprofit group that bills itself as aiming to reintroduce people to the Jesus of the Bible. Ads like this one will air during the big game. Watch.
I'll prepare a feast and bring them together, he thought. But some refused to join him. He was heartbroken because he wanted everyone to be filled, not with food and wine, but with compassion.
But just saying the word Jesus is riling up some people on social media. One person tweeting, "Glad I'm an atheist." Others calling the ads cringe personified, and are using religious freedom as an excuse to hate and discriminate. Chris, there certainly was a backlash that we've seen on social media. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think this is symbolic of probably, arguably, the greatest cultural erosion in the history of our country. I feel like when you look at the numbers, we just dropped below 50% for the first time in terms of Americans' membership in houses of worship. Culture is eroding in this country. Culture is beliefs influencing beliefs, and beliefs come from values. Values come from character, and character comes from leadership. I've got 7- and 10-year-old boys. I choose to lead them, to help shape their character, and know that there is a God who loves them, that love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, self-control, faithfulness, these are good things. And guess what? Those are things that Jesus did put out. And I think those are virtues and values that we need to build in this country, not tear down, and certainly have the freedom of expression to put them out in the wide open as we should.
Amen. Julie, part of the campaign, as I sort of touched on earlier, it's part of an effort to shift people away from a negative public perception of Christians and toward Jesus. Now, my issue in part is with this backlash is that it's been stoked by the media that has somehow, as Chris mentioned, aired toward this public acceptance of mocking and derision towards Christians and those of the Judeo-Christian faith. NPR wrote, it, meaning this whole campaign. It means a lot more people will probably be sending out confused tweets about a, quote, Jesus commercial, a search term on Twitter that was already flooded and aired during the Grammy Awards they were referencing. So here is NPR, National Public Radio, upon which many depend for being, quote, neutral and objective, that is anything but in something that is fundamental to so many of our lives.
First of all, the NPR could not be further bipartisan. They're obviously a liberal outlet, but no, this country actually does need to find Jesus. The hate in this country is just so awful. I mean, it's at really honestly a most all-time high, the extreme left and the extreme right, and I'm not talking about one side or the other, because anytime that I meet someone who's politically extreme or an extremist, that does derive from a place of hate. Jesus teaches us to love thy neighbor, to love one another. And so I do believe that this country needs to find Jesus. And I think that this country is also very anti-American. So why would they not be anti-God? Because in the Pledge of Allegiance, we pledge allegiance to the flag. We also pledge allegiance to our God. And I don't care if you're Christian, if you're Muslim, it doesn't matter. People do need God in their life. Hopefully that will derive, and maybe perhaps lead our country into a more peaceful place. Because look at where we are now. It's not good.
Amy, also part of the campaign articulated it's supposed to, or it is attempting to appeal to groups that may have felt excluded or repelled by the church in recent years, like members of the LGBTQ community, different races and ethnicities, those who lean more liberal politically, and yet people are decrying this as Christo-fascist. What is wrong with appealing to everyone? What is wrong with spreading messages of love, which is what Jesus Christ stood and died for?
Look at the mote in your own eye before you look at the one in mine, or something like that with the Bible, right?
Yes.
Maybe the reverse. But the point is that people are so worried about what everyone else is doing that we're taking away everyone's voice. I love Jesus. I love football. I love the Super Bowl. Most of all, I love capitalism. And so if they are going to put money behind something like this in the Super Bowl, I think it's a great idea. Sad, very sad that our discussion comes back to we have to criticize each other's beliefs. Because at the end of the day, it's a Super Bowl commercial. Hopefully somebody takes away from it something that they can utilize in their life, or at least a little entertainment to talk about Monday in the office. But it's very sad that the conversation has come down to criticizing other people's beliefs instead of allowing us to have an open voice. And again, sadly, that comes right back to the Bible and to Jesus, and not being able to follow some of those basic moral concepts and principles that America was founded on.
I love Jesus most of all. Football is second to that.
Exactly.
And Kennedy, part of, to Amy's point,
capitalism's pretty great.
it's in the top 10. But why is it when we watched one of the commercials that were part of that campaign, it speaks to such fundamental and beautiful concepts again? Why is that vitriol? Where does it come from?
That shows you that it's a real threat. Like it's much better to have people hateful and divided. And it's much easier in terms of religious faith, particularly Christianity, to paint people as simpletons. prophets who, just worship an old guy in the clouds, and develop this straw man. But, if you're encouraging people to think about things like unconditional love and compassion and to search inward, that's actually very powerful. And, it's passive. That's something that you have to do on your own. That's a kind of conversation that you have to have with yourself, not, a hate-filled, angry, othering conversation, which is just eclipsed all reason in our society. Yeah. So I think it's a really good thing. And maybe it will start conversations with parents and kids and neighbors. And, but again, I do believe that the most important conversation you have is with yourself and that inward self-examination, which is very much missing and necessary right now.
Yeah. And just a reminder, 90% of the tweets and things that we see online are from a tiny fraction of the population, a very minority vocal population. But you're right, the most important conversation is with yourself, your family, and God.
So I'm going to conclude the video here. I'm curious to what you guys think in the comments. I don't agree with everything in that video that you guys just saw. A lot of the commentators on that commercial are kind of pretending to be pro-Jesus, but through their speech, I can tell they don't know scripture at all. So I don't agree with everything they say. Maybe their heart's in the right place. I'm not sure. But it is very scary how accepting we are of these seemingly, quote, satanic things and just absolutely cringed at just even the word of Jesus. So with that being said, let me know what you guys think, and I will continue with the Demon Devil Satan series that I have been posting if you guys have been watching that. And if not, it is on my channel. Feel free to check that out. They're really in-depth studies on this topic. And I will see you guys in my next upcoming video. Thank you so much for watching.